this decade. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Let's continue. Okay, we are still back in 1984 for some reason, and we might as well finish what we started, right? Huh. Right. So what do you say we drive into the eyes without a face of... Oh, let's see, we keep doing this. Here are the top 10 best songs of 1984. Number 10. Kool and the Gang is one of those bands that you know for basically one song, despite them not actually being one-hit wonders. But unlike other comparable groups like CNC Music Factory or Wilson Phillips, they actually do have a very large catalog that you should look into past their most obvious song. For example, Kool and the Gang are kind of a weird band for the 80s. Despite the fact that they could easily have been tagged as a disco group at the end of the 70s, the public just kind of decided to let them keep going with hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. To that status, Kool and the Gang actually have 2 hits this year, Tonight and Joanna, and while the public at the time preferred Joanna, which is kind of a lovey-dovey wedding song, I personally don't think that Kool and the Gang were at their best when they were trying to be romantic. No, the Gang are party animals. The party don't start till they walk in, and Tonight is a good song to represent that. It's just a straight 2 a.m. club song for people who found their ideal one-night stand. Despite the fact that lyrically it's about a guy losing his V to a hot experienced older woman, which... I got laid! Yeah, nice fantasy, dude. That's never happened to anyone. Anyway, despite that fact, you can tell that this song is written by people who've had a ton of sex. Gene Simmons might as well be an Osmond compared to the guys in Kool and the Gang. But I can't really say that making the lyrics more realistic would in any way benefit the song. Part of its charm is its lack of reality. This comes on and you believe that anything is possible that night. I'm not gonna say that the song is perfect. In fact, Tonight probably would be a lot higher if it weren't for the bridge, where they decided to have some guy chant the title over and over. I don't know, it's just kind of lame. The following guitar solo makes effort, but once you notice the chanting, it hurts the vibe a little. That said, I do stand behind the song 100% as something of a forgotten gem, so if you ever get the chance, do look it up, you won't regret it. Number 9. Now, as I've said before, a lot of classic artists came to crash the charts in 1984. The Rolling Stones, Dolly Parton, Stevie Wonder, Elton John, Rod Stewart. But you probably wouldn't be expecting to see the Beatles on there. For good reason, they have been disbanded for almost 15 years by this point. What can I say? The world loves its Fab Four. In 1984, he not only had a hit single from Paul McCartney, but also the late John Lennon. McCartney even makes an appearance in the video for another charting hit this year. But ultimately, when it comes down to the effect the Beatles had on 1984, I think a dedication sounds about right. By 1984, the band Genesis was poised for a major breakthrough in the US. They'd always been kind of successful, but never quite enough to be considered superstars. Enter That's All, the band's first top 10 hit. And for those of you currently getting all angry about my choices for this list, yes, I'm aware that there are a lot of people who hate That's All. And for those of you who do, I just have one question. You suck. Come on. It even comes to the tribute to everyone's favorite Beatle. Okay, I know, but he's still a Beatle, damn it! I personally assumed this song coming from such a place of simplicity is part of the reason why it tends to be so looked down on. I mean, this wasn't even slightly close to what they were supposed to be putting out. Remember, this is where Genesis was in the early 70s. Yeah, Even I can tell that is some Guinness level selling out. Though, to be fair, they weren't the only prog rock band to do that this year. But in response, I say, who cares? Who cares if the song is as complicated as the ABCs and was inspired by a man who could charitably said to tie with Yoko Ono as the 5th greatest Beatle? It's still a good song! And yes, I'm aware of the fact that I'm supposed to hate Genesis and they aren't rewriting In the Air Tonight for the 8th time, but I can't help it. I just like the song. Genesis. Proving that selling out does not have to suck. Sometimes. And speaking of which... Number 8. You know, it's hard to remember now, but there really was a time when music videos weren't really seen as, like, necessary, as evidenced by half my worst list. And these days, they're just a soulless fact of life. You have a song, you make a crappy, forgettable video for it. Do you really think that Nicki Minaj and Bruno Mars really care about these things? And to be fair, neither does the public. Maybe a song or an artist will get big off a video, but that's really rare. They're hardly the image-defining marketing tools they once were. And I will say this, there is no way in 2015 that a rising star's music video would be bad enough to destroy their career. If you need evidence that music videos used to actually matter, and that there is no genre where music for the ears is actually a thing, here's your proof. Yes, dear viewer, despite the fact that it looks like you're watching a deleted scene from a wildly out of context footloose sequence, what you're actually witnessing is the demise of one of rock music's best should-have-beens. See the Muppet over there looking way too excited to have the apartment to himself for once? That's Billy Squier, an early 80s rocker who is now only remembered for his much manlier song, The Stroke. All of that selling Squire a bit too short, because not only is he really solid beyond the stroke, I'll even go to bat for the glitterfest currently attempting to gouge your eyes out through the computer screen. Yes, I like Rock Me Tonight. I don't mean I like it in some sort of campy, ironic way. I mean it's just a good song. At least good enough that a slightly fake music video shouldn't make Squire less respectful than the likes of freaking Poison. And sure, I'll admit that this video wasn't exactly setting the image that Squire wanted, especially considering that he didn't have the impervious no-homo defense that we have now, but still, I think that the song should be able to hold its own as a standalone track, if nothing else. Yeah, you can keep your Eye of the Tiger or St. Elmo's Fire. Rock Me Tonight is my big 80s pump-up jam. And considering the fact that this song rocked harder than most of what Van Halen was shoving out that year, I find it hard to argue that Rock Me Tonight sucks because of a 4-minute video. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee that if the Dirty Dancing routine had been scrapped in lieu of a dirt-cheap performance video, then this would be on shoddily made VH1 countdowns too. So let me settle this now. I don't care how ridiculously campy the video is, Rock Me Tonight kicks ass. This song is one of the best rock songs of the decade, I will say that up and down. So there you go, Billy, I got your back. Now if you have a few minutes, I want to get your advice on how to beat the 7-10 split. Number 7. Would you like to know a fun fact? Lionel Richie walked away with a Grammy Award for Album of the Year for his horribly dated Can't Slow Down album. Would you like to know what it beat out? How many people outside of deities get to talk about coming back from the dead, but Tina Turner can indeed add that chapter to her autobiography. Years after abandoning her ex-husband, and by most accounts her career, Tina took a look at what it meant to be a washed-up has-been and soundly told everyone she encountered, "Screw that noise!" Thus she regrouped and belted out her magnum opus Private Dancer and its lead single What's Love Got to Do With It. A record so good that not only allowed her to slink from the stable of empty bar nostalgia acts back onto the main stage, but also cemented her status as one of the greatest vocalists pop music had ever seen. There's a reason for that. The song itself, while decent, wouldn't be anywhere near as good without the Acid Queen performing it. And if you need legitimate proof that it is damn near impossible to interpret this song without colossally embarrassing yourself, just listen to Warren G and Adina Howard's stupefyingly atrocious attempt at it. This is one of those times where the song is pretty much only as good as its record. And that praise extends to the new wavy tone of the production as well, especially that pseudo-flute sound. Love that. So yes, there is a reason why even after all the honors and the biopics and the best Bond theme ever, What's Love Got to Do With It stands as the biggest part of Tina's solo legacy. It was the perfect song at the perfect time, and she can be very proud of it. How if only they could get her into the Hall of Fame without attaching her to that disgusting piece of shit she used to be married to. Number 6. So now we're going to shift to a legendary act that chose to bow out in 1984. The mid-80s world-famous new wave rock band Sting plus others was clearly on its last legs. And it wasn't that they were starting to fall apart commercially or artistically, in fact quite the opposite in both cases. It was more the fact that the band members were clearly done dealing with each other's bullshit. Now I'm sure the answer of who exactly to blame for everything going south changes depending on who you ask. It's most likely that it just boiled down to that world-famous band-killing syndrome of too many egos. However, prior to abandoning that whole world's biggest band thing, the trio decided to toss off one last major album, which just so happened to include one of their best songs ever. Wrapped Around Your Finger comes off of their mega-selling album Synchronicity, along with Every Breath You Take, and yeah. While those songs are great and all, I personally find a lot more reasons to prefer Wrapped Around Your Finger. Why is that? Because sometimes you just want to watch an egotist show off. Today, when someone wants to show off, they tend to go with things like volume, or range, or overcompensation. But Sting here is choosing to go the Bob Dylan route of writing meaningless, high-sounding gibberish and letting the public do all the work. Okay, raise your hand if you understand what that last line meant. Put your hand down, you filthy liar. Technically, Wrapped Around Your Finger is just another track Sting fired off about his broken marriage, just like That's All was for Phil Collins. Phil Collins chose to deal with his woes by being a bit more direct, what with his We Fight Over Nothing lyrics, and being direct is not really a trick that Sting has in his playbook. Yeah, like I said, once you dig beneath the layers, it's oddly ethereal and emotional and just mean. It's just a really distasteful song in all the right ways. And sure, Hard Habit to Break and I Just Can't Get Over Loving You were also creepy and toned down, but really only in the stupidest, clumsiest sense possible. Wrapped Around Your Finger isn't just creepy, it's cold and calculated, like Sting is the Bobby Fischer of music. I mean, we're talking about a guy who will straight up burn a song if it contains fewer than 8 metaphors in each verse. If you don't need to crack open Wikipedia at least once during one of his tracks, he considers that a failure. It's nothing more or less than the Police doing what the Police are best doing, being completely unrelatable narcissist. Is the Police boiled down to their most basic essence, and that is fine by me.